Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really, depending on the guest, we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is a professional wrestler currently with NXT and the WWE. We're with Dio Madden. Dio, welcome to Popternative.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Of course, people know, like, on you do a lot of streaming stuff, and people know you there as Brennan Williams as well.
I do, yes.
And I think it's pretty cool because, you know, Tyler Breeze has been on the show many times, and you know, Up, and Down is one of my favorite channels. And I think it's really cool that wrestlers have kind of platforms now to show that they're not just into like pro wrestling. Because I feel like that was kind of like a misconception a little bit.
I'm not going to take full credit for it, but I'm going to take full credit for it. I was the first person to do it, and I helped everybody learn how to stream. So I'm going to take full credit for all your wrestlers on Twitch. I will take full credit. I mean, I'll give props to Woods, obviously, because Woods kind of started the whole playing video games as wrestlers thing. Me and Breeze started streaming around the same time. I helped Cole get on the streams. I helped everybody who's been streaming ask me for advice first. So you're welcome.
That's perfect. We'll get into specific things I want to get into, but specifically for you, I just kind of want to know about the transition from, you know, playing football and then deciding and then stepping into the ring. I mean, a lot of different, like, there's a lot of different reasons why people transition from professional sports to professional wrestling. But what was that kind of like for you a little bit?
So for me, honestly, the plan since I started watching wrestling when I was maybe 10 to 12 years old. So as a kid, my goal was always, I played football. My father was a football player for 11 years. So I was like, oh, I'm going to play football. I'm going to go into the NFL. And then after I'm done with that, whenever that is, I'm going to go wrestle. Because I was like, yeah, I love this. This is like the perfect combination of, you know, a sport and, you know, the creativity. And I've always been into art and drama and all that. Yeah. So I was like, this is the peanut butter to my jelly. This is perfect. Yeah. So I played football since I was 7 years old. Got drafted in 2012, I think 2013. I'm not sure. Yeah. But played in the NFL for a couple of years, and then when that was done, due to injury, I was like, well, I can't play. I don't. I had to choose. I was like, I could heal up and I could go into football and bounce around or do whatever, or I could, you know, while I'm still young and healthy, I can go into wrestling. And I was very fortunate when I got drafted to the Texans. I started going to indie shows in Houston, specifically Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. Yes. So I established a connection with him when I first moved there. And then when I literally the day that I was done, I was like, yeah, I'm done with football. Called Booker. I was like, hey, Book, I got to try out in a couple months. Can you train me so I don't suck? And he was like, yeah, kid, come on down. I'll teach you the ropes. And I went, I flew down the next week. I learned how to do all the basics, try it out, and it worked out for me. I ended up in WWE. So,
but I think, you know, we've seen it in the past with like, you're not the only one that has kind of that journey, you know, Mojo Rawley, Baron Corbin. I mean, it happens a lot more than you would think. Is it something about football players specifically? Because we've seen other sports as well, but like, is it just an easier transition from football to pro wrestling, like compared to other sports?
I think it's more of like an athlete thing. Like if you're an athlete in any discipline, if you're good, if you know how to train, if you know how to work out, if you're able to do all those things will lend themselves to professional wrestling. Granted, completely different animals, and I had to get in completely different kind of shape and you know, learn completely foreign moves to my, you know, football brain. Yeah. But I think if you have the discipline to do a sport at a high level, then it allows you to transition. And, you know, I'm nowhere near like perfect or anything now or anything, but I feel like I was able to transition pretty quickly just because I put my nose to the grindstone. I treated it like training camp. And for the, I guess 8 months to a year that I was with Book, I really studied and dedicated all of my time and effort to learning how to wrestle professionally.
No, for sure. COVID has been a game changer for professional wrestling. I mean, the big thing obviously is the fact that there are no crowds. You guys are performing in basically like not in front of anyone, and you're not able to travel. The WWE has put together the Thunderdome, which I think is amazing and kind of looks unbelievable. And I think a lot of things
crazy.
I think a lot of things happen there though. I've always loved professional wrestling for like I'll watch the matches and the storylines and everything, but I've always been a big fan of the production. That's always been my main thing.
Oh,
you know what I mean? The gimmicks, the production, the music, you know what I mean? That's been my thing. So the Thunderdome has been able to kind of like showcase all of that. It's bigger, it's brighter, you know what I mean? Like,
and honestly, I was very much the same way. I loved all the spectacle. I loved granted, it was amazing what we were able to do in the Performance Center for the time that we were there. I saw them freaking gut the place, tear everything apart and turn it into basically a TV set.
Yeah.
Completely. They still haven't gotten it back to normal just yet.
No.
But it's the first time I stepped into looked into the Thunderdome and I was like, wow, this is next level.
But as soon as you see it on TV, you're like into it, that it looks awesome. You know what I mean? Like like 5 minutes in, you're like, you see it when Vince McMahon introduced it, right? You see it, you're like, this is amazing.
And my thought was like, I think I told Dijak, like when we saw it, we were like, man, this isn't just like good. This is like the future of like an arena. This feels like we're in a Blade Runner arena where everybody can, we're doing some kind of future cyberpunk sport or something like that. It's wild. And they've got pyros everywhere. And like they've got these drone cameras now that they couldn't do before because of fans. Yeah. So there's these drones just flying around and they're getting all these cool and unique shots. I actually got a kind of a different look at the production side when I started doing commentary, because there was a lot more. I had voices in my head and they were telling me how, when we were going to commercial or what shot we're cutting to and all that. So seeing all of that, kind of all of the gears in motion, it's really amazing. Yeah,
no, it is amazing. A thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, you did the commentary, NXT as well. Technically right now, people Google Dio Madden, like you are part of the NXT brand. But I feel like we need to kind of not beat around the bush. I mean, for many years, the NXT was seen as the development league. And like, we need to just stop calling it that.
It's really not at this point.
It's not like it's a bit of a piss off, to be honest with you, because it's so amazing what they've done, and it's just like it's a third brand for WWE. You have SmackDown, Raw, and NXT.
And when you think about it, it's not like they just pulled this out of nowhere. They took a reality show that was like a weird side segment of Raw. And they turned that into a third brand, and it's really something else.
But I mean, you mentioned like a couple guys that stream, like Adam Cole. I'm sorry, but like Adam Cole and Undisputed Era are superstars. You could put them tomorrow morning on the main event of anything,
and people would know who they are. And
it's just like it's amazing. So like, what's that been like being part of the NXT brand, Dio?
So I've been here, like 4 years now. Yeah. So I've actually been here long enough to kind of see. No, I haven't been here since the long ago when it was the reality show or anything. But I've seen it, on the network, and I've seen it transition into live television and kind of become this third brand. And it's special to be a part of it because the guys that are involved are all great. We've got a great culture at the Performance Center. Everybody's really cool, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep. But do you think also it's one of those things too, where what were kind of some of the moments where you look at your fellow wrestlers that you work with, the guys like Keith Lee, right, where these guys were getting signed and it was just kind of like, it's almost like a sign of the times, right? Like they're signing certain people to NXT and you're like, wow, these guys were like the top guys in indie.
Well, that's kind of the tough part of the transition is it's kind of been, as it's kind of shifted from developmental to, not so much a feeder, but just its own thing, its own flavor. Yeah. You would see, guys come in and they go right to TV, and then it's like a fast track to to Raw or SmackDown, or, I mean, even now it's not even, people just stick around. People being in NXT for 3 or 4 years was kind of unheard of.
Yeah, well, Johnny Gargano did an interview with my friend Chris Van Fleet, and he's like, everyone says like being brought up to the main roster and everything, and Johnny Gargano was like, no, like the NXT to me is the main roster. Like, I love NXT.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a viable option for guys that want to be able to have the types of matches that they would like to continue to be having. Because like I said, it is a different flavor. It's a different animal. Yeah.
No, for sure. Moving away now from professional wrestling, you kind of wear many hats professionally and hobby-wise, I feel like, too. You like a lot of different things. You're a big pop culture guy. We talked about sports. Let's forget about that for a little bit. You're a big anime guy. You're a big geek culture guy. The one thing I'm noticing, and I just interviewed Derek Robertson, who is the creator of The Boys, and which is season 2 is going to be launched like any day now. And I find it very interesting because like geek culture and nerd culture is like mainstream now.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're like me. You've been around long enough where it was like when I was in school, I was saved by the grace of God that I was 6'8" and Division I football player. Like if I were to walk around and I was not in this body, I would have been bullied. So for it to kind of make the full switch to where everybody's looking forward to Marvel movies. I remember reading, Marvel comics in middle school, and everybody thought I was weird. So it was, it's crazy.
But like, and another thing too is something I've noticed is there are people that, because I'm also I don't know if you're a big horror movie guy, but I'm a huge horror movie guy.
Not so much, but I do partake.
But have you noticed that that's like blowing up too?
That's kind of the new hotness. It's like we've kind of gotten
it's like hot sauce. You know how hot sauce was that?
I mean, I live in Orlando, obviously, and Halloween Horror Nights is like the biggest thing every year, and everybody goes to it. It's wild.
But do you think it's kind of like pro wrestling with the adrenaline? I remember reading an article. It was definitely a clickbait article. Like it was the worst thing, but like it had like
I find my way to those articles by accident, and I read
the headline was horror movies will make you live longer.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, it was the worst. I think you click it was like the worst, but they were kind of linking it to like the adrenaline rush, right? Like it's like watching a horror movie gets your blood pumping, like running on a bike. You know what I mean?
So I mean, if you think about it, especially in COVID times, like we're very much in our own houses for very long periods of time. Mm-hmm. We're a long way from needing to go out into the woods and hunt a mammoth or something, like to get your blood pumping, your lizard brain caveman going. So I buy it. I buy what they're selling.
No, absolutely. I do have an anime question for you, sir.
Hit me.
So, I like the anime. I'm obviously not into it as much as you are.
Anime.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Like I love Castlevania. One Punch
great.
Man. My Hero Academia. Like big fan, right? But I just named you kind of like the mainstream, like more popular animes, and I don't know what kind of the standard is where there's so much content out there, right? And there's so much stuff. Maybe like, what do you kind of think of the fact that like My Hero Academia, right? Like is pretty like mainstream anime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like we were saying, as things are becoming more and more. It's more, it's not a bad thing to be called an otaku. It's my friggin' screen name. I'm the Great Black Otaku. It's not a weird thing to hear anymore.
I love that, by the way.
Thank you. And I've been able to keep it so far. I'm never going to change it. If I change it, it's because they made me. But honestly, like when I was growing up, the mainstream animes were like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or something like that. And even I wouldn't say that those shows are surface level, but they're a very good entry point. Yep. And I think a lot of the, like One Punch Man, you mentioned One Punch Man.
love that.
That's a show that's like a satire of a type of anime.
Yeah.
So we're actually like the entry level is like past the surface point at this point where people understand, the tropes and the jokes and all that.
So you're obviously a big Dragon Ball Z guy.
Yeah, well, that was my baby's first anime. When I was a kid, my dad, when he played, he would go to training camp. And back then they'd go to training camp for the whole summer. I'd just never see him. Yeah. And he always made sure to bring me back stuff. So at first it was like Godzilla movies or like Power Rangers or stuff like that, which at the time I didn't even know was Japanese stuff. But eventually it was like, oh yeah, this is like cartoon Power Rangers or something. And he got me that, I'm sure you know it. It's like the box of VHSs for Dragon Ball. And if you put them all together, it makes a picture of like Goku fighting Vegeta. Sick. So, that was my first experience. Then I found out that was on TV. Then eventually I found out that I didn't have to wait because these shows aired like 10 years after they were made. So I could just go and watch them in Japanese. And that was the downward spiral for me.
So do you think it's kind of cool that Goku has been on my show?
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, Peter Kalamis, who did one of the voices of Goku for Ocean Dub, he's been on the show and he's done a Kamehameha, and it's the coolest thing ever.
Goku, actually, I had a video years ago. It was when I was in Houston. My kids were watching the Thanksgiving Day parade, and they don't even know that I'm already tainting their minds that they're going to be just like me. But so it was really cool for them because the Goku float came through.
Yeah.
And so I took a video of it when Goku came on, and they were like, "Hi, Goku, hi, Goku." And he retweeted it, and that was a huge moment for me.
That's amazing. But there's been many Gokus. Who retweeted it?
That would have been it would have been Goku Blue, so it would have been the super dub.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Very quickly, there's like, what has been? You said you've been doing it for 4 years in NXT. Like, what's your favorite thing about being a pro wrestler?
Just going out there and doing it. It's exactly what I always wanted it to be. I love the interaction with the fans, which has been hard now. Obviously, because we don't get to. I mean, even when we had fans in the arena, it was just coworkers, and we've had the worst thing in the world is a Performance Center show in front of all of your peers. Yeah. But just that interaction, that connection. I'm a big reference guy, so when people get like what I'm doing, like when they're picking up what I'm putting down, that's always really cool for me. And just that interaction, I think.
No, absolutely.
I was an offensive lineman in football. It's literally the position that nobody cares about. And if you pretend you care about it, then you're just like a friggin' smart mark for football. But so I've kind of, playing at a high level, I had to do that without any of the glory or any of the praise or the adulation. And even to another degree, when you play football, you have a big helmet on. So nobody knows your face when you're walking around or anything like that. And for that to kind of be under the spotlights, in the center of attention, it's been very cool.
Absolutely. Well, Dio/Brennan /Black Otaku. Thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man. Seriously.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah. Can you just like plug away basically? Because you do a lot of cool things.
Yes.
And I want to make sure people can check them out.
Yes, you can find me on pretty much any platform at Great Black Otaku, GreatBlackOtaku. That's on Twitter, Instagram. I think I have a Vine or something like. I went and
TikTok?
TikTok. Did I say Vine? How old am I?
Vine was the best though. Okay?
Yeah.
Next time you come on, we're gonna talk about how I love Vine.
But
anyway, yeah. So TikTok.
Most importantly, Twitch, twitch.tv/Great Black Otaku. I do a podcast every Thursday with my buddies, Mansoor, Dijakovic, Killian Dane, Shane Thorne. We always do it every Thursday.
What a squad.
That's my gang. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also like Tyler Breeze does some stuff too with other guys too, right? Him and Ty Dillinger do streaming.
Yep, he's got the Sweets. So check them out too. The Sweets is great. That's a they're not rival gangs. We're collaborative gangs. We all support each other. we're a tight knit group of gangs.
But it's really cool that I know, like, you guys do it because you want to do it too. Like, you're doing it, like, you decide you want to do like Mansoor and Daja. You do it because you like it. But it is really good for the fans too, and I'm really happy that you do that. You know what I mean?
It's a different level of interaction, and especially like I said, right now it's hard to interact with people. We do call-ins, like, you know, our subscribers can call us, and
but they're it's very pop, like it's talk of the town. Some of those streams you guys do, like, people love them.
Oh shucks, flattering. No, we have a lot of fun on those, and I stream video games myself on the same channel. So if you're ever bored, come check it out.
Absolutely, man. No,
yeah,
this was awesome. Thank you so much. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Black Otaku, Brennan Williams / Dio Madden.
Get them all in.
And PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.